Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it is day 21. So proud of you. Congratulations. Thank God. Tomorrow we break our fast. But today I want to continue our series. We've been talking about worship. And I want to read the book of Job. Here, Job chapter 1, verse 1. This one says, there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. And that man was blameless, upright, and one who worshipped God and shunned evil. So key thing there, Job was a man that worshipped God. As a worshiper, he drew God's attention on himself because in verse 8, this is what God says. God testifies about Job as he did for David. He says, then the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job, that there is no one like him on the earth, a blameless man, an upright man, and one who worships God and shuns evil. This is what God says about him. Well, Satan comes into the picture. He says, look, the only reason why this man is worshiping you is not because of who you are. This is why he worships you. Look at verse 10. He says, have you not made a hedge of around him, around his household, and around all that he has on every side? You've blessed the work of his hands, and possessions have increased him in the land. So Satan is reducing Job's devotion of worship to God to material stuff. He says, this man worships you because of your hand, because of your miracles, because of your blessing, not because of who you are. Therefore, he's just saying he's not because of who you are. Then God says, well, all right, go test him. And we know what happens next. Job is tested very severely, and things begin going south, and he loses this, he loses that, he lost his cattle, he lost his donkeys, he lost his horses, he lost his sons, he lost his daughters, his body was affected. Everything went down because he was being tested. Was his worship because of what God did or because of who God was? Well, how do we know? We go to verse 20 in the same chapter 1. It says, then Job arose, tore his robe, shaved his head, and he fell to the ground and what? Worship. Watch, he fell to the ground. He didn't go into a pity party. He didn't go, woe is me. He didn't go into depression. He didn't go into crying. He didn't go into petition or supplication, even though those are good. But the man just fell down and worshiped. Why? Because to Job, worship was a constant, because it was to God who is constant. God never changes. So Job worshiped God before adversity, during adversity, and after adversity. Ladies and gentlemen, worship is not what we place on God as a demand for his response to our circumstances. Worship is our response to God for who he is, regardless of our circumstances. So that's what Job did. Even as he got bad news after bad news, he turned his affection on Jesus, on God, and he worshiped. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to encourage you, even after this fast, make worship a big part of your devotion to God, because every time you worship, you draw the presence of God into your life. And I'm telling you, worship is that spiritual practice that we get to do on this life and in the life to come. So it is so important that you give yourself to worship. And I hope that you can join us tomorrow. We have Community Sunday, and we are going to have corporate worship and worship Jesus together, because worship never changes. Circumstances change, but worship doesn't change, because it is to a God who changes not. So regardless of what happens, we are going to worship Jesus, and we're going to make worship a big part of our lives this year, 2024. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow.